Hello to everyone listening. I'm Jo Francis, Core and Bath's publishing manager, and today I'm talking to Alison Davies about her new practice guide, The Role of the Supervising Social Worker. This is a new book in Core and Bath's popular Good Practice Guide series. Alison has had a long career in social work in a wide variety of roles. She's currently working as an independent social worker and also doing training for Core and Bath. So, Alison, hello.
Hi.
Your new book explores the role of the supervising social worker in foster care. Can you summarise what are the main duties of this role for those who aren't familiar with this?
The main roles are really to support and supervise foster carers with the aim of trying to ensure high quality family placement for children in care. So the role provides advice and guidance and support to carers, but also supervision to help carers develop, to help them ensure that children receive a high standard of care, to help carers understand a child's individual care plan and to deliver their part of that care plan. And there's also the role on behalf of the fostering agency of endeavouring to ensure that fostering national minimum standards are met.
Right, there's quite a lot there, isn't there? For those listening, you've had a lot of experience in social work yourself. Have you been a supervising social worker or managed these posts?
Yes, I started off as a supervising social worker for several years. Since then, I've managed fostering teams and fostering services, and currently I chair fostering panels, so have regular contact with supervising social workers.
Right, okay. I can see that the supervising social worker role is quite a key one in foster care. Do you think it gets the attention that it deserves? And if not, why not?
I don't think it's instantly recognised as the skilled task it is.
Right.
People are aware of social workers working in specialisms such as safeguarding, children with additional needs.
Of course.
But this is a very skilled task that doesn't just require social work assessment skills. It needs an understanding of planning, it needs an understanding of negotiation and mediation, and it needs an understanding of adult learning skills, because what you're doing as part of that role is encouraging foster carers to develop their skills.
Right, I can see. I know you spoke to many supervising social workers when writing the book, of course. What do they say about the role? What are the positives and negatives for them about it?
They say that they like to see children thriving and developing because they're getting the care they need.
Right.
They like to watch their carers develop additional skills.
Yeah.
And they enjoy the working partnerships they can develop with foster carers who they regard as fellow professionals, and they can develop that working relationship. On the downside, the difficulties are when you often see a placement that falls apart and you feel quite helpless because you can't stop that happening for a child.
Yeah.
They also say there are challenges in managing allegations against foster carers. You're working closely with the family and an allegation is made. That is really difficult to manage personally and professionally.
Yeah.
And they also say it's talking with carers about natural parenting instincts versus regulations, really, that require foster carers to act in a certain way. So for safeguarding reasons, you sometimes have to ask people to do something that they or not to do something they would instinctively do as a parent. So that's a challenge, really, in getting people to understand the differences between being a professional parent and a parent in your own right.
I can see that. There's definitely, positives, but a lot of challenges there as well.
Yeah.
You say in the book that supervising social workers, they have to be many things to many people. A supporter, a teacher, a counsellor, a mediator, to name but a few. What's your advice for workers trying to tick all these boxes?
I think the starting point is to know your own skills. We can't all have all those skills naturally. You need to develop some of them, or to recognise where perhaps you haven't got a skill in a particular area, such as mediation between various professionals, and learn to develop those skills over time, or work with other members of your social work team who have those skills to learn from them, because we all function as part of a team, and fostering social workers are a very strong team together. Yeah.
I can see that working relationships with foster carers are really key here to this role. What are the most important things for social workers to bear in mind to encourage good working relationships with foster carers and ensure the family is supported?
I think to start from the beginning with a very clear contract about the working relationship you will have with foster carers, a written agreement about what they can expect from you and what you expect from them. I think then you need to stress honesty and openness, that as a supervising social worker, you're there to support, but you have to be open about everything. You have to share your concerns with other people if there are concerns. I think you need to be clear about your availability and what your professional boundaries are, because you do become quite close to the carers you support, and you need to be clear about when you can be contacted, what you can be involved in, so you keep that professional boundary whilst being open and welcoming to them. And I also think everything you do with foster carers in visiting them should be recorded and a copy given to the foster carer. So if you're recording positive, they can see that. If you're recording concerns, they're aware of what your concerns are. So you've got that open working relationship. But also to make it clear that it is your role to both support and supervise. So you will be there to support, but if you feel the carer is straying into an area they shouldn't stray into, or you have a concern, that you will spell out quite clearly what the expectation of them is.
It's a little difficult, isn't it? Obviously, you're going to be close with them, but you're there for a reason, and it is a job. I can see that. It's a difficult balance to strike, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
And of course, one of the key parts of the role is it's about the child. It's about ensuring that a child's time in foster care goes well. So I'm presuming that you're going to have to prepare the carer, make sure they have information about the child, and also, of course, support them when a child leaves. Are there ways in which current practice falls down here and perhaps could be improved?
In an ideal world, you would be able to give a foster carer clear information about the child before they're placed.
Yeah.
You'd be able to give the child information about the carer so they know what's going to happen. And you do introductory visits. That's the ideal world. Reality is we've got limited numbers of carers. Children are often placed in an emergency without full information being provided to either the child or the carer, and without the closest match possible being made between what the carer offers and what the child needs. So you're backfilling after a child has been placed, which can lead to difficulties. The carers don't know what's important to the child. The child doesn't know the carers and their household routines, and that can make placements quite difficult to start off with. If you can plan it, you have a better chance of a good outcome. But limited numbers of carers makes that difficult at the moment. And when it comes to a child leaving, again, ideally planned, that the decision is that a child is moving on, whether it's rehabilitation or moving on to permanence, but it should be in a planned move. And that doesn't always happen either. Sometimes because there was an agreement that it would be a time-limited placement.
Yeah.
But foster social workers haven't managed to find a new placement until very close to the end of that original placement, and there isn't the time to do the introductions that you would want. And again, that's mostly about the lack of availability of foster carers.
These social workers will be working with a range of foster carers, of course, including kinship carers. I know they're also called connected people. Are there particular areas to be aware of when you're working with kinship carers?
Yes, I think so. if we think about mainstream carers, they go through a 6 months, sometimes 8 month preparation period, being assessed, having training, all before they have a child placed with them.
Of
For
course.
connected carers, children are usually placed at very short notice because of an issue in their primary family.
Mm-hmm.
And the carers have had no time to prepare. They weren't planning on being foster carers. They see themselves as grandparents, aunts, uncles, and they're having to adapt to a whole new world of fostering with its new language, with lots of professionals coming in and out of their home. And it's quite confusing. And they are quite conflicted. Many just want to be a family carer. They don't want to be a professional foster carer with training and supervision and all the things that occur.
Of course.
I think the other side is that they also, particularly with grandparents, may have health needs that need consideration. You need to think about what support they need. And whilst they're trying to adapt to the entire fostering world, they're also having to come to terms with some incident within their own birth family that they may find really difficult to deal with. So they may have a lot of stress on them. And I think for supervising social workers, you need people to be eased into the role gradually to allow them time to talk about their feelings before we talk about what we expect of foster carers.
Yeah, it's a very different situation, isn't it? And I would imagine frequently at very short notice.
Yeah, it can be 24 hours and they're having to adapt their whole life. For some people, it's changing their working patterns. It's changing all their household layout to fit extra children in. It's a tremendous shock to the system, I think, and we need to recognise that.
Yeah, definitely. I could see a supervising social worker is really key there in helping these families adjust. Your book's about more than just the job description for supervising social workers, though. It also looks at learning styles, at supervision models, and at the culture in fostering services. Would you say that part of the job as a supervising social worker is about being reflective on how we learn and why we learn?
Yes. I mean, I think being approved as a foster carer is the start of I use the word journey. I don't
the journey. Yes.
For many carers, they are moving through a process that will help them gain skills and develop as carers. So you need to understand how they learn and develop. So thinking about their learning style. And I think for supervising social workers, it's helpful to start by reflecting on our own learning style and thinking about how we learn, excuse me, and understanding that we cannot assume that everyone else has the same learning style. Yeah. And we need to adapt to the learning style of our carers. In the same way, thinking about issues of culture, we need to understand our own beliefs and values and then look at our carers and understand their beliefs and values so that we can work with them to develop into fully rounded carers. So I think there's a lot about understanding ourselves to enable us to understand other people.
In the book, you talk also about the importance of listening to everyone involved as being really key to foster carers, also to the children in placement, of course. Can you say more about the importance of listening in this role?
Yes, I mean, I always refer to that old adage, we've got one mouth and two ears.
Fantastic.
We need to ensure that we not only listen to the words being said, but hear what is being said to us or not being said to us. And I think it takes time. And we say that when you're working with children, take time to understand what it is they're trying to convey to you. So the importance is to give your carers time to talk, to understand what the underlying message is, as well as what they're saying to you. And I think it's really important to demonstrate that we've heard at times. So by reflecting back what we think the carer has said to us, so that we can be sure we fully grasp the information they're trying to share. And in that, doing that, supervising social workers are role modeling to the foster carer what we would like them to do with the child as well. So I think it is important.
Of course, that's a very important message, I think, that for us maybe to leave on. I've got to say, your book, it does seem to have struck a bit of a chord with social workers out there. It's selling well, and we did the Community Care Live event last month, which some of our listeners may be familiar with. There were social workers taking photos of your book on their mobile phones so they could show colleagues back in the office. So congratulations
That's
with that. Do you have any final message for social workers when it comes to this subject?
Yeah, I think the role of the supervising social worker is vital to support foster carers, because the aim is to provide children in care with high quality care. Yeah. And the supervising social worker supports the carer to achieve that. I think the role of supervising social worker is complex and possibly undervalued within social care. And I just hope that the book has gone some way to highlighting the importance of the role.
Fantastic. Well, from what I've seen so far, it's certainly helping to do that. So thank you very much, Alison. Thanks for your thoughts, and thanks for the time in coming to speak to us.
Thank you.